Hi, sweeties. I am back. So, in my last two videos, I mentioned that I had to get my two wisdom teeth pulled on this side, which happened. It is Tuesday today, as I'm filming this. Tuesday, April the 24th, and you are going to be seeing this video tomorrow on the 25th. So I had my teeth pulled a little over 10 days ago. It was on Wednesday, so 7, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's 12 days ago now, 12. And I've read your comments on my previous videos. Some of you said that I was really courageous for overcoming my fear of going to the dentist. And things like that, but that also kind of like made me realize that there's a lot of people out there that have a fear of going to the dentist, and it can be really hard to navigate getting through that fear. As I said in one of my previous videos, I did not go to the dentist for many years. I moved here in 2013. Because I wasn't under visitor status here, I didn't have any insurance. So nothing was covered. So I wasn't able to go to the dentist for the first 2.5 years. Then that fear only became bigger based on a previous experience when I was 17. And then I just started avoiding going to the dentist altogether, basically. And I also really realized that I should close the window because that's kind of loud. Hold on, I'll be back in a sec. Okay, much better. So yeah, I didn't go to the dentist for up until last year, and I moved here in 2013, and it's now 2023. So last year was 2022. So I didn't go to the dentist for almost 10 years, and I definitely had to pay the price for that this year because of a fear. And so I've actually looked up some articles just to kind of word things a little bit more clear, which I will mix in with my own experiences. So I found this article because there's obviously a difference between a fear and a phobia. And apparently they call it dental phobia if you have a fear, an extreme fear of going to the dentist. So I just wanted to read you what I found. Fear versus phobia. So this is basically if you haven't been to the dentist for many, many years, just like me, because you've had a traumatic experience or whatever it might be, you have to kind of figure out first, like, okay, do I have a fear or a phobia? Because that will help you to understand better which direction you should navigate or like gravitate toward to in order, to work up the courage to actually go to the dentist. So this is basically going to be a self-help video on, hopefully I can help you to overcome that fear just even a little bit. Just take the first step so that you can also go to the dentist eventually. It took me many years to build up the courage, and I didn't actually know any of this. I only started looking all of this stuff up after my last appointment, after I got my, what's it called? My two wisdom teeth pulled, like a little over a week ago, almost 2 weeks ago now. So here we go. Fear versus phobia. Fears and phobias are often discussed interchangeably, but these two states of mind have some marked differences between them. A fear can be a strong dislike that may cause avoidance, but it's not necessarily something that you might think about until the thing you fear presents itself. On the other hand, A phobia is a much stronger form of fear. Phobias are considered a type of anxiety disorder and are known to cause extreme distress and avoidance. So much so that these interfere with your daily life. Another characteristic of a phobia is that it's not something that will likely cause you harm in reality, but you can't help feeling that it will. When applied to the context of going to the dentist, being fearful could mean you dislike going and put off your appointments until necessary. That was definitely me. You may dislike the feeling and the sound of the instruments used during cleanings and other procedures, but you put up with them anyway. In comparison, dentophobia can present such a severe fear that you avoid the dentist altogether. Even the mere mention of or thought of the dentist may cause anxiety. Nightmares and panic attacks may also occur. The causes and treatment of fear of the dentist and dentophobia may be similar. However, legitimate phobia of the dentist can take more time and work to cope with. And then it talks about, the causes and treatments and exposure therapy and all that. So from my experience, I kind of had a mix of both. I had really extreme fear and I would avoid it. And I also have had a few symptoms of dentophobia. So when I was 17, I was about 17. I might have been 18 or 19. I can't remember. It's been too long ago. But I had my wisdom teeth on the right side pulled. And my dentist at the time made the mistake of not numbing me enough and also just not accepting that they couldn't do it and they should have sent me to a surgeon. I was awake during the whole thing. They pulled the top relatively easy. However, they just didn't do a good job. So they damaged the molar in front of my wisdom tooth, which is the molar that has given me trouble for 10 years that had to get pulled last year. So I'm missing one of my regular molars because of that. And then on the bottom, it took them so long to pull that molar, and I was in so much pain. And I wasn't courageous enough to stand up for myself back then, to say okay, stop, I can't do this, that I just let it happen. And I got massively traumatized by that. So ever since then, I hated a dentist. When I was living in the Netherlands, I would go for my regular checkup every half a year. But as soon as something had to be done, I was basically avoiding it. So when I moved to Canada, like I said, I didn't have insurance, so I wasn't able to keep up with my, every a checkup every 6 months. And that fear started to live its own life in my head. I became extremely avoiding of the dentist. Every time when I thought about it, I was really, really scared. My teeth started to discolor. That's one of the symptoms of not going to the dentist. My gums would often itch, so to speak. It's kind of hard to, it's kind of like this irritating, tingly feeling in between your gums. And I knew something was wrong. So that wasn't the only boundary for me, though. When I moved here, which might be hard to imagine for some of you now, my English was not what it was like today. I'm Dutch. English, I wasn't born being raised with English. I had to learn that later down the road. And I was considered to be, good at English, but when it comes down to certain topics, I don't know anything. I remember when I got my first haircut, I was like, yeah, this is the haircut that I want, but I don't know what it's called. When I wanted to go to the dentist, another one of the things that held me back, other than, the extreme fear of my previous trauma, was that I couldn't verbalize myself properly, because I literally did not have the, oh, what's the word? Here we go again. Vocabulary to ask questions in that sense, because I didn't know what things were called. So I've reached out to many dentists. About 2 years ago, I started reaching out to many dentists because I was starting to get a lot of pain, especially the molar on the top right that was pulled last year was giving me so much pain and uncomfortableness, and I wasn't able to eat chewy, like hard, crunchy things anymore. I wasn't able to drink cold things. I became a master with holding my tongue in a certain way to funnel the water straight down without it touching my teeth. I wasn't able to handle, hot, warm, like warmer temperatures. And I was like, okay, I can't go on like this. And then I remembered something that my dad used to say to me when I was very young, because when I was young, I already had a lot of teeth problems. So I'm kind of in a disposition in terms of, my teeth. Like my mom had bad teeth, my dad had bad teeth. It is what it is. So it's even more important to keep up with it. So my dad always used to say to me, imagine this really delicious, tasty, sweet strawberry. And you bite into it and you can feel the temperature of the strawberry, and you can feel the texture of the little seeds as you bite down, and you can taste the juiciness. And he would describe this to me really vividly. And then he was like, now imagine that you wouldn't feel any of that. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, that's what it would be like if you would have fake teeth. My dad had diabetes type 1. He had really bad teeth, so most of his teeth were actually replaced with fake teeth. He didn't have dentures. But that's what it was like. And my mom, that I don't have contact with, another story. I'm not going to go into depth about that. But my mom also had an extreme fear of the dentist. She definitely had dental phobia, and she didn't go to the dentist because she had such a big fear of the dentist. I don't know why. But by the time that she was 30, she got all of her teeth pulled and just got dentures and was done with it. For me, on the other hand, I do not want to have fake teeth. I know that my teeth aren't perfect. I have a huge overbite. I regret that I never got denture or what do you call it? Braces when I was younger. I just didn't, so I regret not getting that done. But I'm happy to have my own teeth. So the turning point for me last year was because I was in so much pain. I was like, I have no other option. Like, I can't continue living like this. Like, it's affecting me on a daily basis. The only thing that I'm comfortable with at this point is like drinking smoothies and eating soup, basically. And, soft things like overcooked pasta and mashed potatoes and things like that. So I was like, I gotta take action. Talking about action, I think it's going to rain very soon, so it's getting really dark in here. I'll be back in a sec. Let me just adjust the light a little bit. There, I hope that's a little bit better. So I was talking about my extreme fear of the dentist with my best friend that also had one of her regular molars pulled, but then on the other side. And I was talking to Adriana, which is another one of my best friends. And while talking about it, while exposing myself and expressing myself, talking about the extreme fear, I was able to get to a level to at least reach out to dentists. So panic attacks and anxiety attacks turn off part of your frontal lobe. I don't know what the scientific name is for it anymore, but that's what panic and anxiety attacks do. They turn off a part of your frontal lobe in your brain, which is responsible for rational thinking. So if you suffer from extreme fear or extreme phobia, you basically go into your fight or flight mode mechanism right away, and you are not able to think straight and rational. And this is the reason why when you have a really bad fear of the dentist, talking can help a lot. writing it down too if you don't have anybody to talk to, or you just don't trust anyone, to talk about this, which is understandable. You can just write it down, but get it out of your head into the open world or on paper. So that was basically the first step before I was actually able to go to the dentist. The second thing that I did was I reached out to multiple dentists, emailing them about the fact that I have an extreme fear of the dentist, and that I got traumatized when I was younger, and that I need help, but I also need to have a dentist that understands my fear. So for the first few dentist clinics that I actually messaged on their website, it stated like, oh, yeah, we accept new patients that have fear of going to the dentist. We can accommodate them. Never gonna reply back. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna go to these dentists, which also, kind of allowed me to get over this fear, because it was like, okay, I'm really nervous. Like, I'm reaching out to somebody, and then a release of anxiety because I reached out to them, and I was like, okay, well, it's out of my hands now. And then they didn't get back to me. So I had to do that a few times, which helped me to get over this fear. So eventually I found a dentist clinic here in Toronto. And this dentist, this woman, worked with a corporation, like an organization, and she did not agree with a lot of the ways how the other dentists were doing things. So she was like, well, fuck that, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna start my own clinic. So she has 2 or 3 assistants. Do you call it? Is that multiple? Like multiple assistances? Anyway, 2 or 3 that help her during the appointments to like hold the equipment and like, and then she also has 2 or 3 people that work at the front desk, and 2 or 3 people that do like cleaning and things like that. So I made it very clear right from the start that I have an extreme fear of the dentist, and that I haven't been in a long time, and that I know that something is wrong. But yeah, I made it clear right from the start, talking, because my very first orientation, so to speak, I left a voicemail message saying like, hey, I'm looking for a family dentist. I haven't been in a very long time, and they called me back. And that's when I was able to tell my story. And I was on the phone for, it must have been almost an hour. And the assistant was the sweetest thing. She was just listening to me, assuring me that my dentist would make sure, or that, the dentist at that clinic would make sure that I would be comfortable, and that she is very gentle. And it was enough for me to hang up at the end of that conversation and be like, okay, I think I can do this. So I can't remember how much longer it was after that. I think it must have been about a week later that I actually had my appointment. And so there is a few things that you can do before you actually have your first appointment. So let me see if I can find that, because I found an article about that as well, which I will just kind of incorporate with, my own experiences at this point. Why is the website not loading? Come on, you can do it. Oh, I hate when that happens. Okay, let's see. This should be working, but it's not. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. So I also want you to know that it's actually normal to be scared of the dentist. Like, nobody really likes going to the dentist. And there is a lot of people that have a lot of anxiety about, going to the dentist. Like, in terms of the statistics, it's about 20% of Americans. I don't know how it is in other parts of the world. I can't sit here with a whole list and like read out like, okay, in the Netherlands, it's this many people. In Italy, it's this many people. But yeah, in America, it's about 20% of people that are actually really, really scared of going to the dentist. So let me see. Yeah, so the first tip is what I've kind of basically told you about just now. Like, look for a dental practice that caters to dental phobics or people with extreme fear going around going to the dentist. It's such a common concern for so many people, and it just, because of that, because of the fear, we often just don't end up making that appointment, and then before you know it, it's been 10 years before you went to the dentist, which is, you know, what happened in my case. I don't know if this is really something that I would recommend, but it does help. So, my dental clinic, in the room, if I lay in the chair, there's actually a TV. They have the radio on, and then the TV very, very quietly. It's just a news channel that shows like the weather forecast and like whatever. And it does help to distract. So, you know, this article gives as a tip, like, if possible, choose a dental clinic that offers the following things: television, music, and a warm blanket. Now, I personally never wanted a warm blanket. They do have a neck pillow. They have different sizes of neck pillows, which really helps because I get cramped very quickly. So I always ask for the smallest neck pillow. Blanket wouldn't help me as much because of my anxiety. I already sweat excessively because I'm so scared. So that would just make me even hotter. But it might be something that helps you. So you could either bring a blanket or ask and see if they have one, if you think that will make you feel better. Another tip is don't go to your first visit alone. So that's kind of a lame tip because it's not like everybody has a choice to go with somebody to the dentist, right? So what I would recommend is to download an app like Balance. I have an app called Balance on my phone. Here, let me see if I can find the app so I can show you what it looks like. Play Store. Here, I'll look it up so I can show you. I don't know if this is also available for Apple, by the way, but yeah, this is what it looks. It's called Balance, Meditation, and Sleep. And again, this is not sponsored, by the way. This is just me recommending to you what works. And this app has like meditation sessions that you can set for like 5 to 10 minutes, and they have free meditation sessions. You can also go premium, but like whatever. Like, I used to use whatever works for me that is free. And they have these meditation apps that are, or meditation sessions that you can set for 5 to 10 minutes that is based on like deep breathing. So if you're sitting there in the waiting room or even right before you go and you're like, oh my God, I'm about to lose my, my shit, you can listen to this. And deep breathing can really, really help. I know that it sounds super cliche, but oh my goodness, the amount of times that it saved me, that I was just sitting there deep breathing. And I was like, you're okay. You're going to be okay. You're doing a good job. You're very courageous for doing this. You can do this. You can get through this. Like, it really works. Practice makes perfect. So if you can't go, so that is something that I would recommend, especially if you have to go by yourself. If you do have the option, however, to go with somebody, I would highly recommend that as well. Arrive on time, but not too soon. The last thing that you want is a long wait before you see the dentist. Bring that magazine that you've meant to read with you so that you'll be too distracted for your imagination to run wild. Well, I don't know how you guys are, but a magazine isn't going to do it for me. So I would have to listen to some audio or watch a video. Watch an ASMR video in the meantime. So bring your headphones, bring your phone. You can read a magazine on your phone as well. Bring whatever works for you. If you have a stuffed animal, that you think would help you, do that. If you have a best friend that you think would help you, do that. So meditation, that is focused on body scanning or deep breathing is something that I would really recommend. Those are relaxation techniques that you can also apply throughout your visit. I've noticed, especially in the first 2 visits that I've had, because I've had 7. Honestly, last time I said 6 visits. I don't know at this point. I've had 7 or 8 visits. You know, I'm kind of used to it by now because I have to get a tooth cleaning every 4 months now because I have gum disease because I waited too long to go to the dentist. So I have to go every 4 months, and I'm okay with that now. Like, I can lie in a chair. I am very aware, though. I'm very aware of, like, okay, don't clamp onto the chair. Just relax. So I'm constantly body scanning while I'm in the chair. Just like, you know, feel the top of your head, feel your cheeks, feel your eyes, you know, just, and it really works for me. You'll be surprised how much control you have over your anxiety when you find a helpful calming method. So body scanning definitely works for me. Ask your dentist for appropriate sedation options. Many patients appreciate the calming quality of nitrous oxide and oral sedatives. It might even be possible to snooze your way through a complicated dental procedure. It's true. So when I had my first deep clean, it was such a painful procedure because I did not, well, it wasn't painful during, it was painful after. So she, you know, sedated me completely from top to bottom. Like, my whole face was just like, and I really needed that because they had to deep clean everything, and there was so much plaque buildup. There is no way they would have been able to do that without sedating me. So if you notice pain, communicate with your dentist that you have some sort of signal that if you're in too much pain, they give you a break. So for me, it's usually like, I'm just like, or like I put up my finger and then she just takes a break. I tend to get cramp in my jaws quickly if I, you know, have my mouth open for too long. And my dentist knows this now, so I always just like put up my finger and then she just stops and then she gently massages my jaws until I say like, okay, we're good to go again. So communication is key, people. I know it's so scary. I know it can be really hard to stand up for yourself, but you're the one that's in that chair. They're in your mouth, and it's up to you to tell them like, hey, this is too painful, this is too sensitive, I need more sedation. Very important. Don't fall into the trap of being a martyr where discomfort is concerned. Pain-free dentistry is a reality, and it's the job of the dentist to make sure that you don't feel any pain while they're working in your mouth. Yeah, so communicate. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Ask questions to your dentist, explaining what they're doing throughout the procedure. A soothing voice is often enough to help you through dental work. And it's true. My dentist, when I tell her something, like, she comes closer and she like really sits there and like listens intensely to what you're saying. You know, and mirrors back to you, so to speak, at what you're saying, and that she understands. So take breaks. Stop whenever you need a break. A sensitive dental team will give you time to relax when necessary, which is what my dentist does. And you need to have a dentist like that. If you have a dentist that you're not happy with and that you're scared with, go find a different dentist. Honestly, it's worth it. I wish I would have done it before, because at this point I have gum disease. At certain spots in my mouth, I have a lot of bone loss, especially in the back. And because of that, I can't even get an implant for the molar that just got pulled unless I get a treatment where they regrow the bone, which is really painful and expensive. So I don't know if I will ever will do that. I think I'm just gonna, you know, have one molar less on the right side. But honestly, I wish I would have overcome this fear much earlier, because now I'm stuck with severe dental or gum disease in the back. I have a lot of bone loss, and because of that, I'm more prone to teeth infection and like all that stuff, plaque buildup, bacteria, all that. It's just not worth it. make your next appointment before you leave the office so that you kind of have like a foot in the door, because once you overcome that fear, you don't want to allow yourself to slip back into that fear and never go again, especially because the first exam can be very, very triggering because you might relive previous trauma. And because of that, it's good to continue to expose yourself to that fear so that you can actually overcome that. If you would have talked to me about dental fear, like fear going to the dentist a few years ago, I would have been a completely different person. But I do think it definitely helped that I just, continued going, which helped me to overcome that fear, and which also helped me to prove that not all dentists are, sorry for lack of better words, but not all dentists are assholes. So it is possible to find a good dentist. You just have to keep looking until you find the right one. So yeah, that is those are the tips that I have, and like how they kind of intertwined with what I've experienced. So there's 2 tips that I would like to give that are not on this list. This is something that I've actually learned from my dentist. So if you've had an appointment and you have pain, the numbing wears off, or whatever kind of procedure you might have gotten done, what really helps, and what my dentist says time and time again, is to make some really warm water, as warm as your mouth can handle it, with salt in it, and then rinse with salt water. If you just got some molars pulled, you shouldn't swirl around and things like that, because the blood clots are still getting formed, and you don't want to pull them out by swirling around and causing a vacuum effect. So when you rinse with salt water, you just kind of let it go from left to right, left, right. Do that for about 15 seconds, and then just let it drip out of your mouth. Then rinse your water one more time with lukewarm water, and then you're good to go. And do this 3 times a day when you get up, in the afternoon, and in the evening. Also, another tip that I have, if you just had your teeth pulled, they give you these little, they give you gauze. At least they did for me, because you have to bite down on the gauze until the bleeding stops, where the molars are just being pulled, or the teeth. My dentist actually told me that another thing that actually works even better is tea bags. There is something in tea that stops the blood from flowing, which actually helps to create blood clots, which is exactly what you want. So tea bags is another good tip when you got any of your teeth pulled. But salt water can help for anything. It can help for after teeth cleaning. It can help when you feel pain. Any of those things. So I would like to mention the downside of avoiding going to the dentist. And this is almost everything that I've had to deal with. So no matter how terrifying going to the dentist might seem, it's never a smart idea to forget to schedule routine appointments. Inadequate levels of oral hygiene lead to a variety of nasty problems. And examples of what happens when you avoid the dentist include bad breath, cavities, plaque and tartar buildup. That I've had a lot of that. Tooth loss, which I had. Gum disease, which I now have. Infected teeth, which I had. And that's one of the reasons why the molar got pulled. And discolored teeth, which I also have. So, I'm just letting you know that those are some of the things that you will have to deal with. And, of course it's okay to take your time, but don't wait too long. If I can do it, you can do it. I know that sounds super, super lame, but it's true. I used to suffer from extreme PTSD. I wasn't able to go outside. I wasn't able to go anywhere. And now I'm at a point where I finally overcame my fear of the dentist, and I actually went to the dentist 7 to 8 years in the last year. So work on it if you feel like you do not have a handle on your fear and you're absolutely not willing, not ready to go. See if you can talk to someone about it. See if you can find a professional that might be able to give you some help, or do a lot of reading, because there is plenty of articles nowadays online, you know, in the modern day and age that we live in, where information is excessive, really. There's plenty of articles out there that will be able to help you and give you, you know, the courage to actually muster up the courage to go. So I hope that this has been helpful. I do not want to come across as pushy by any means, but I always like talking about, you know, experiences and what has helped me along the way, in the hopes that, you know, it will help someone out there as well, because I know how tough it is and how challenging it can be. And I also know that if you're going through that, any type of information is welcome. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. If you have any tips on how, you know, you might be watching this video and you're like, well, I used to have fear, but now I don't anymore, feel free to share the tips down below, so that hopefully it will be able to help other people. Yeah, and so for now, I would like to send you a lot of love and a lot of positivity and a lot of courage and strength to go ahead and do whatever you've been putting off on doing. And I will see you again next week. Bye, sweetie.